Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I wanted to make a quick video about the 5, 10, 15 that is happening today as I'm recording this video, so I could give you guys some advice on how to better use your money depending on where you're at in the game, how many spares you have, and everything else. So there's going to be a bunch of information, and hopefully this will help you not waste as much money. Also, if anybody's watching this in the future, you could probably apply this to any future 5, 10, 15 Starforce events that are going on. So just so everybody's clear, in case anybody doesn't know what a 5, 10, 15 Starforcing event is, basically whenever you see this event posted or you hear about it going on, what it means is that there is a 100% chance for a star to go up, starting at 5 stars, 10 stars, and 15 stars. So for example, this item is at 10 stars, it says success chance 50%. But during a 5, 10, 15 event, it would be success chance 100%. So it would guaranteed go to 11. And that's the same if an item is at 15, it would guaranteed go to 16. It doesn't work for 20 to 21 or like 16 to 17. It's only for 5, 10, and 15 stars. So what I have here is the Starforcing calculator, which I will have linked below. This is a very valuable tool that you should always use before you Starforce, especially if you're unsure about how much something costs. So let's say you want to get a CRA piece, which is level 150 to 17 stars this event, and you're doing it without 5, 10, 15. So it would cost anywhere between like 1 to 1.3 bill, maybe 1.5 bill, somewhere like that, right? But if you use a 5, 10, 15 event, all of a sudden the cost is almost half. It's almost half the cost. So starring on 5, 10, 15, obviously this is just one example on a small scale, but the whole point is starting on a 5, 10, 15, you will save a stupid amount of money. And this is more true for even more expensive items. CRA is relatively cheap in quotation marks in the grand scheme of things, yet you save so much money. It might not seem a lot getting that guaranteed star from 15 to 16, but it is a lot because it means you don't have to safeguard it, which means you save money on the safeguard cost, and you don't have to deal with the variance of it failing over and over and over again. It's guaranteed to succeed, which makes the next star more likely to succeed as well because you don't have to go backwards at all. So I'm on this character, and let's say I have like not that much money, right? I have 2 billion Mesos. I managed to save it for 5, 10, 15, and I'm looking for what to do. This character doesn't have really much any gear. Something that you guys should know about Starforcing on this game is depending on what star you're going for, you can either get stats or attack or both. So when you're going for items between 0 to 15, like this Mechanator pendant, for example, it only goes to 15 stars. Because it doesn't go above 15 stars, you only get stat from it. So since I'm a Cadena, I use luck. So that basically means I would only be getting like 3 to 4 luck every single time I Starforce it. So it's not that much. But an item like CRA gear, you can see how it goes up to 25 stars, meaning it goes above 15 stars. You start to get attack along with the stats above 15 stars. And that's where 5, 10, 15 becomes super strong, especially for early game players, because you can get your gear to 16 stars guaranteed, because you remember the 15 to 16 is guaranteed success. And that gives you attack, which scales super hard and gives you a lot of damage. For example, here on my hero, my superior pendant is 15. And because there's going to be a 100% success chance, I know it says 30 here, but during on a 510, it'll be 100. You can see that you actually get attack power and magic attack when you're starring over 15. So basically what I'm saying is, especially as a new player, you want to try and optimize how much attack you're getting across many different items. And since 15 to 16 will be guaranteed, you essentially want to get as many 16 star gear as possible first before you go above 16 stars. You want to set the baseline. You want to set a baseline of 16 star gear across as many pieces as possible. Then if you have more money, you could go above 16 stars. I've seen a very common misplay on this game where somebody will go from 15 to 17 right away when a bunch of their other gear is sitting at 15 as well. You should really try and get your gear to 16 first across the board before you go above that. That way you guaranteed yourself a bunch of attack and stats. And if you do happen to get super unlucky with trying to go for 17 or anything higher, you at least got 16 star across the board, which gave you pretty good gains. So a lot of new players might be starring Absolab gear or maybe Superior Golix gear if you happen to have it. And I want to show you a way that you could save a lot of money starring these pieces that'll still get you to the star that you want, but it'll save you a bunch of money. So let's say, for example, we have a blank Absolab glove and we want to star it to 17 stars like how I have it. That way we get a bunch of attack from it. As you can see, it says plus 33 attack, 21 magic attack, and it'll make this a lot stronger, right? So we could just straight up star the Absol glove, and that way we're done, right? But a better way to star it is to actually fodder into it. So how Starforcing works on this game is you can transfer stars from an item that is 10 levels below your target item to the target item. So for example, my Absolab glove is level 160. This is in yellow, it says in the middle, required level 160, right? Which means that if I had a level 150 glove, I could transfer the stars from the 150 glove to the 160 glove, but you would lose 1 star in the process. But the reason why this is better is because different pieces of gear have different star forcing costs dependent on their level. So for example, this Absolab glove is at 17 stars, the one that I equip, and it's a level 160 item. So if I were to star it, it costs 50 mil. Whereas this arcane cape is level 200 and is also 17 stars. And if I were to star it, it costs 98 mil, almost double, right? So you want to try and get your star forcing on the lower level item so that you can transfer it to the higher level item and you would save money that way. So I have the star forcing calculator pulled up here. And let's say we want to get our Absol glove to 16 stars. With no transfers, right? We're star catching, we're safeguarding, and we get it from 0 to 16 on a 5, 10, 15. How much would that cost? It would cost anywhere from half a bill to maybe 700, 800 mil if we're unlucky. Not too bad, right? But let's say we want to do the star forcing tech where we transfer from a lower level item. So we'll choose a 150 item because that's 10 levels below our target item. We don't need to safeguard anymore because typically when you do the transfer tech, you have unlimited spares of the fodder item. That's part of the reason why we even do this, not only to save cost, but it makes us not need to safeguard either. But regardless, we're only going to 16, so you don't have to safeguard it. But if you were going for higher stars, like 22, for example, and trying to transfer, so you could get a 21 star, then you would save a lot of money from not safeguarding. But in this case, let's calculate to 16, right? So it's cheaper. It's anywhere from 400 mil to around 600 mil. And that little savings, it might not seem a lot, but going from 800 mil down to 600 mil, that's like almost 25% savings. Like that adds up a lot. And then when you transfer it to the Absol will go to 15, right? Because you lose 1 star. But since the Absol would be at 15 stars, all you have to do is tap it once because you get a guaranteed success rate. You get guaranteed 15 to 16 from 5, 10, 15. So all in all, it ends up being a lot cheaper and you save a lot of money if you do it that way. So I actually drew it out for you in case that explanation didn't make any sense. So basically you use the level 150 gear. Since you have more of them, you have unlimited spares, you don't have to safeguard, which saves you money. You get it to 16, then you transfer it to the level 160 gear because you're only within 10 levels of each other. And then you tap, which is a 100% success chance, and you get 16. And this way, you got your Absol gear or whatever other piece, whether it's a superior gear or something like that, to 16 stars, and you saved money. This is actually cheaper than just going straight on the Absol to 16 stars itself. Now, this technique of star forcing is actually very important to learn because it's by far the most optimal way to star force items to 21 stars on items that are able to be transferred to. So for example, my superior Golix belt here is at 21 stars. How did I get it to 21 stars? Did I raw tap it to 21? If we look at the star forcing calculator here and we see how much it'll take to get to 21, it'll be anywhere from 1 boom to 3 booms if we're kind of unlucky, right? So I don't want to use those booms that are statistically likely to happen on my superior gear because my superior gear is really hard to get. So instead I would get a bunch of belts that are 10 levels lower than the superior item, so level 140 belts, whether it's pink bean and reinforced, and I would tap these to 22, then transfer to the superior and leave the superior at 21. That way, these fodder items that I get so many of them, they can tank the booms and the cost because they're lower level items. And then I would still be able to get a really high star good item, basically. So now I want to show you guys where you can get the fodder items for each of the Absols, because you might not know where to get them in case you want to do this transfer fodder tech. So first of all, if you want to transfer to gloves, you need to go to this map in Grandis, so Helicium, Downtown Black Market, and talk to this guy, the Shadow Shop. And then under the special tab, there are antique root gloves that you can buy. You get these coins from defeating hard magnets. So If you're super early, you might not have too many, but you probably will able to buy at least a few of them. And then you can use these to transfer to Abso. For the boots and shoulder, you just go to the Root Abyss map and you talk to this guy up here. And you can buy these antique root shoulders with the blue coins and these antique root boots with the blue coins as well. The green ones are obviously so much more expensive, so I would highly recommend using the blue coins, and then you could use these to transfer to Abso shoulder and Abso boot. But the cape is a little harder to get spares of because you're going to have to do Chaos Zac, and Chaos Zac has a chance to drop this Enraged Zachem cape, and obviously you can only clear Chaos Zac once a week, so you would have to clear him for multiple weeks, save these capes, then use them to transfer to the Absolab cape. So the cape might be harder to do the transfer tech to, but if you happen to have any, you might as well try. Now, Ranmaru, you could do him every single day, and he also has a chance to drop pretty much all the pieces that you need to transfer. He has these Amaterasu gloves, shoes, shoulder, and cape. So if you do him every day, you could stack these as well, and also use these to transfer to Absolab and save a little bit of cost. So if you were wondering whether or not it's worth 16 or 17 starring items that are not technically best in slot. So for example, I have these earrings that I got from Hilla. They're 16 stars. Some people might tell you it's not worth starring this because eventually you replace it with Superior Golix gear. Now, I don't think that's actually true because not only is Superior Golix gear going to take a long time to get, these items, even when they get replaced, you can use them for training gear. So for example, let's say I wanted to push this Mercedes a lot further. Obviously, I would get the Golix gear on it. But then if I get the Golix gear, why would I transfer stuff like this or anything else that gets replaced? Well, as for the earring slot, you can use this for training gear because long term you have a set of training gear and a set of bossing gear. So having these boss accessory items that go above 15, like Will-O-Wisp or Decidus earrings from Horntail, they could actually be pretty valuable for when you train. So it's not really a waste to get them to 16 or even 17 stars for the time being. And then when it comes to a belt, now, I wouldn't get this belt to Legendary. This isn't exactly what you should do. Just look at the stars, in case anyone was wondering. Now, as for this belt, it's actually not a waste to star this at all. You could even get this belt to 22 if you want, and then just wear it until you get a Superior belt, because you can just transfer this to the Superior belt anyways once you have it. So starring a Golden Clover belt or a Reinforced belt is not really a waste either, even though it gets replaced by Superior. You could see on this character, I went for 16 stars across the board on every single item that I could. Even the CRA weapon, it's not technically a waste either because you could transfer stars from the CRA weapon to the Absolab weapon anyways. So remember earlier how I talked about star catching and I said that you should always star catch? So what does star catching exactly do? So star catching adds a 5% success chance to whatever your current success chance is. So for example, since my current success chance at 0 stars is 95%, it's not adding 5% additive. It's not going to make it 100% success chance. It's going to be whatever this number is times 1.05, which means that it'll go to a 99.75% chance, which is why sometimes, very rarely, you actually do fail a star from 0 to 1. And to star catch, you just have to make sure this is unchecked, and then you press enhance, and then you make sure the star lines up, and there you go. Success. And you move on. But this is annoying, right? You don't always want to play the game, and the game actually gets harder over time the more that you play it. So if you're in a guild, make sure you go to the guild castle and you go inside of the Starforce room, which looks like an anvil. And if you were to Starforce in this map, it would automatically star catch for you. So back to this item, even though this is unchecked, if I press Starforce, it'll do the entire game automatically for me. And this is very, very, very important for Starforcing. You should always Starforce inside of the Starforce room, or if you don't have one, try your best to always at least play the game and do it. You save a lot of money in the long run if you star catch. Even if it's annoying and it takes more time to do it, it's very, very, very important to do. The last thing that I want to mention in this video is a little bit more advanced for like mid to later game players, and it's talking about starring arcanes. So I'm on my Lara here and I have 19 star arcanes, right? People have different opinions on this, but based off of my experiences and the numbers and everything like that, I think it's actually very wise to settle on arcanes depending on how many spares you have. So because arcanes are very difficult to get, this actually holds true even for CRA. If you're trying to get CRA past 17 stars, if you have a lot of money and not a ton of spares, it's actually better to settle across the gear than going straight for 22. Some people will tell you that going straight for 22 is the best thing you should do because you eliminate an item from the pool that you have to star. You could just never think about it again. But the likelihood of that actually happening is so low, where and very expensive, whereas you could have gotten maybe 19 star across 4 pieces for the price of getting just one item to 22, and that would make you actually a lot stronger. So you kind of want to think about it like in checkpoints. For example, on my Lara, I only had one of each spare at the time, and because I only had one of each spare, if we plug it into the calculator and we try and go for 19 stars, it says the average booms is 0.29, and if I get unlucky, it's about 1 boom. And that's pretty much what happened, is I either didn't boom or I only boomed once. So getting 19 was pretty reasonable. But if I wanted to get 22, all of a sudden the booms are anywhere from 2 to 5 if I'm a little unlucky, which means that I would have had to use all of the spares that I had on just one item to 22, and the rest would have stayed at 17. And that wouldn't have been as strong as getting 19 across the board. So certain items that are very rare to get or difficult to star, I would recommend getting checkpoints on them. So getting them to 19 and then 21 and then 22. Those are the checkpoints that I recommend. The reason why it's 19, 21, and 22 is because, as we just saw when it came to the odds of getting to 19, it's pretty high likely that you'll get one. You'll maybe boom only once across all of your items if you're unlucky. And then the reason why 21 is another checkpoint, especially when it comes to arcanes, is because if we look at the calculator again, let's say we start at 20, you can't fall down from 20. Like even if you fail from 20 to 21, it won't go down to 19. And we try to tap to 21, it's very unlikely that it booms. So 21 is almost like a free star. But if we try to go to 22, then the likelihood goes up a lot. If you get a little unlucky, it could fail up to 4 times realistically. So that's what I'm doing on these characters, is I'm doing checkpoints. I got it to 19 because that's more than enough damage to even solo Black Mage with 19 arcanes. And then as I get more spares, then I'll get them to 21. And then as I get even more spares, then I'll get them to 22. But that's about it for this video. I just wanted to make a quick video on just general Starforcing tips, especially if you're a new player, because it's very, very easy to get tunnel visioned, waste all of your money, and then just, be very sad because you fell into a trap of wanting to go for something big and you don't have enough money to do so. With that all being said, though, I do really appreciate you guys for watching. If you have any questions, obviously leave a comment down below. There's also the Discord that you can join linked below, and you can ask questions at any time in case maybe I'm not there. There's a lot of smart people in there that can help out too. Pull up to the live stream where you could ask questions live or just have a fun time with all of us. With that all being said, I appreciate you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Good luck with your starring. Shout out to my members: Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Skittles, Dante Victory, CK, Jay, Kyle, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Assassin, Henzo, Henrique, and Kelvin. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you everybody who submitted fan art. You can always submit it in the Discord and it'll be put at the end of every video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.